Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, today we are diving into something truly revolutionary for modern education. We're going to decode a trauma-informed pedagogical framework that's specifically built to combat adolescent burnout. The whole goal here is to completely transform the traditional, stressful classroom into a safe, deeply engaging quest. If you're an educator looking to reduce emotional exhaustion in your students, while actually maximizing how much they learn, you are in exactly the right place. Here's a quick look at our path today. We're covering burnout and game therapy, synergy over competition, the Bloom's taxonomy matrix, didactic reskinning, adapting across disciplines, and finally, your new role as the psychological architect. Let's jump right in. All right, Section 1, burnout and game therapy. We really have to start by acknowledging the intense ecosystemic pressure our students are dealing with right now. So this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? How on earth do we test knowledge without making student anxiety even worse? Look, when adolescents are dealing with severe real-world distress and that fragmented attention span we call clip thinking, traditional linear testing just doesn't work. Actually, scratch that. It doesn't just not work. It acts as an aggressive threat to their nervous systems. Handing them a standard exam just triggers defiance, apathy, or complete cognitive exhaustion. We desperately need a way to assess them that heals rather than harms. The solution? Well, it starts with tapping into instantly recognizable pop culture aesthetics. Look at these neon geometric symbols from the Squid Game universe. By using these, we trigger what's called the priming effect. The second students see this, their cognitive resistance just plummets to zero. They aren't thinking about a stressful test anymore. Their focus completely shifts away from real-world trauma and zeroes in on a purely playful, ludic goal, cracking the code. It's like flipping a switch that instantly converts a boring topic into a highly immersive game scenario. Moving on to Section 2, synergy over competition. Now, you might be thinking, wait a minute, isn't that show incredibly violent and competitive? Yes, absolutely. And that is exactly why we must profoundly reframe the narrative. We are creating what we call ecological gamification. We explicitly strip out all that destructive social Darwinism and violence. There is zero elimination here. Instead of sitting in stressful individual isolation, emotional tension is completely redirected into team solidarity. Students aren't fighting each other. They're teaming up to defeat the intellectual challenge of the room itself. And this brings us to a really foundational concept for this whole framework, scaffolding. In this game, messing up is actually part of the plan. An error is entirely legitimized. It's not penalized with a bad grade. An incorrect answer simply means the lock doesn't open. Try again. It becomes this incredibly natural, low-stake zone for shared cognitive growth. Instead of failing out, teams use their mistakes as stepping stones, safely decoding the material together. It's a massive shift away from toxic competition and a huge win for psychological safety. Let's look at Section 3, Bloom's taxonomy matrix. This is how we build cognitive complexity. So the game engine itself runs on a very strict 5-stage progression, and it is perfectly mapped to Bloom's taxonomy. Every geometric shape represents a room and a specific cognitive level. You start with a circle. That's basic fact reproduction. Then the triangle moves them into decoding. The square demands systemic analysis, finding those deeper connections. The star pushes them to evaluation. And finally, the umbrella requires complex, interdisciplinary metasynthesis. It's brilliant because it elevates the intellectual challenge step by step, naturally raising the bar while keeping the psychological pressure incredibly low. Okay, Section 4, didactic reskinning. Let's talk about how we save you hundreds of hours of prep time. You're probably thinking that building a highly structured 5-room escape quest takes forever to design, right? Not with didactic reskinning. Think of it like this. The core of the game, the 40-minute time limit, the 5-room structure, the cryptographic logic, that all acts as a permanent mold. It's immutable. You never rebuild the engine itself. You just swap out the subject matter, the skin. And because the kids already know the rules from the last time they played, their cognitive load for rule adaptation drops straight to zero. They just dive right into analyzing your specific content. Section 5, adapting across disciplines. Let's actually see this flexibility in action. To prove just how flexible this invariant framework is, take a look at this matrix. We can run this in 9th grade literature, an 11th grade business class, or even 10th grade country studies. For instance, in country studies, room 1 might just be recalling basic terms about UK prime ministers. But by room 5, those same teams are synthesizing complex UK legislative processes to crack a final code. The structure stays exactly the same, but it effortlessly adapts to let you deeply analyze totally different curriculums. Let's zoom in on world literature for a second. In room 1, students activate basic recall by spotting traits of Balzac's realism. By room 3, they're stepping it up, matching heroes to moral strategies. And in the final room, room 5, they have to synthesize everything they've learned to solve a riddle where the final code is the word money. They get completely absorbed in the text and the literary analysis without even realizing they're being tested. Now, if we reskin this exact same game for basic business, the vibe shifts entirely. Your students are now analysts. Room 1, they're classifying Japanese corporate traits. Room 3, they're matching employee profiles using Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And they finish up by deducing market terms under this really fun zero-pressure time limit. Same exact container, but perfectly tailored to your academic goals. Oh, and here's the absolute kicker for academic integrity. How do we stop them from just copying each other? We use symmetrical, parallel task sets. Basically, every team gets tasks that are the exact same difficulty, but with completely different factual material. So mechanical copying between teams is literally impossible. You can't cheat your way out. It forces totally authentic teamwork and guarantees that every single student is accountable to their group. Finally, Section 6, the psychological architect. This is all about your new role in the classroom. The game mechanics are amazing, for sure, but they only work if you change how you operate during the lesson. You are no longer just standing there lecturing or handing out grades. You follow the facilitator protocol. You silently diagnose their error patterns. When a team gets stuck, you use guiding facilitation, meaning you ask open-ended questions to point them back to the material, but you never, ever just give them the answer. Most importantly, you are constantly monitoring their emotional state, actively mitigating anxiety and setting them up to feel successful. I absolutely love this quote from the source material. The educator moves away from directive functions to act as a psychological architect of a safe learning environment. By stepping into this role, you aren't just teaching a subject anymore. You're facilitating a profound therapeutic impact. You are using that amazing team synergy to actively restore emotional balance and intellectual curiosity in students who really, really need it right now. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. How will you use this invariant framework to transform your next lesson? I highly invite you to take this adaptable matrix, throw your own subject skin right over it, and just watch as toxic competition melts away into joyous, collaborative discovery. You have the blueprint to build an educational sanctuary. Now, it's time to play.